Every team swings and misses for a guy whose production simply does not match his contract.
For the New York Giants, Daniel Jones, it is a 4-year deal worth $160 million.
Let us dive into Spot Track and take a look at every NFL team's worst contract heading into the 2024 season. Arizona Cardinals, Budda Baker, safety. While his leadership and playmaking abilities are invaluable, not to mention he undoubtedly has one of the best football names in the game today, the financial strain really limits the team's flexibility in addressing other critical areas. Can't be sinking $14 million into an aging safety that failed to record a single pass deflection in 2023. Atlanta Falcons, Jake Matthews, LT. The former 6th overall pick in the draft has been somewhat inconsistent throughout his career, but he did manage to cash in on a big deal back in 2022 that raised some eyebrows even then. The 32-year-old is the Atlanta Falcons' second biggest cap hit behind legendary bag-getter Kirk Cousins. And he's now causing the execs to feel a pinch, as they've been unable to address other issues on their roster. Baltimore Ravens, Marcus Williams, FS. Marcus Williams' 5-year, $70 million deal with the Ravens seemed promising initially, and to be fair, he is still relatively young. However, injuries and inconsistent play have led Ravens fans towards seeing his $14 million annual salary to be a bit of a burden. Luckily for Baltimore, they do have a potential out after the season, but they don't want to be wasting years of Lamar Jackson's prime with cap woes. Buffalo Bills, Von Miller, edge. Von Miller's 6-year, $120 million contract with the Bills is proven problematic and is quickly looking like one of the worst active deals in the league. Despite his Hall of Fame credentials, his production and availability has certainly dipped far below the level that would warrant such a deal. Carolina Panthers, Taylor Moton, OT. Taylor Moton is far and away the highest paid offensive lineman in the trenches for Carolina. It makes sense to try and protect Bryce Young, as he needs stability to evolve and progress as a player. But there are serious questions as to whether Moton deserves that kind of contract, especially considering where the Panthers are really at in their rebuild. Chicago Bears, Keenan Allen, WR. When healthy, Keenan Allen is one of the most consistent wideouts in the game, no questions asked. But the key phrase there is when healthy. That has been a big struggle for the aging wideout. The swing makes sense for the Bears, but this massive price tag for a vet with health issues could backfire in a big way. The Cincinnati Bengals, Sheldon Rankins, DT. Former 12th overall pick Sheldon Rankins is now 30 and playing on a 2-year, $24 million deal that he will likely not deliver on. The Bengals were looking for a reliable and consistent performer with that investment, and while he put up a nice sack total in Houston last year, which ultimately resulted in said investment, I'm not sure that they're going to be getting their money's worth, as Cincy runs a vastly different scheme. Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson, QB. Well, this is an easy one, because Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed $230 million contract is a massive financial commitment that honestly at this point the Cleveland Browns will just never be able to justify. It was a bad decision PR-wise, and Watson has just been terrible on the field. Good heavens. Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, QB. Dak Prescott has put the Dallas Cowboys in the ultimate quarterback purgatory. He's great, and the team has been great, but they can't seem to get over the hump come playoff time, and well, his massive contract is a part of the reason as to why, as it really makes it hard for Dallas to secure all the complementary pieces that they need to actually succeed when the chips are down in the postseason. Denver Broncos, Garrett Bowles, LT. Garrett Bowles' 5-year, $68 million contract has become problematic for the Denver Broncos. Despite a standout season in 2020, Bowles has been inconsistent and clearly bitten by the penalty and injury bug. Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, QB. Jared Goff has been way better than expected down in the Motor City, and in the grand scheme of the absurd quarterback market, this deal really makes sense. But the 30-year-old is just never going to deliver enough value on the field to justify taking up 10.65% of the team's salary cap. Green Bay Packers, Preston Smith, OLB. The Packers need a consistent pass rusher, so I understand the line of thinking with this contract that they signed Smith to. But come on, at this point, it is simply not panning out. The 31-year-old represents a $14 million cap hit in 2024, and we are not confident that he's going to be able to deliver an ROI on that. Houston Texans, Joe Mixon, RB. Running back contracts are always dubious, and let's just say that we think there's a reason that the Bengals were willing to part ways with their star back. In 2023, Mixon rushed for only 700 yards and 5 touchdowns while missing 6 games due to injury. But the Texans have committed $16 million in guaranteed money to him. Yeah, it's pretty hard seeing that panning out well. Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor, RB. Speaking of running back contracts, the Jonathan Taylor contract in Indy definitely raised some eyebrows around the league. He signed a 3-year, $42 million extension with over $26 million being guaranteed. Too bad he can never stay on the field. The Colts would have been wise to address one of their other, more pressing roster needs rather than commit so much money to a guy who can't stay healthy. Jacksonville Jaguars, Christian Kirk, WR. Back in 2022, Kirk signed a 4-year, $72 million contract with the Jags, and though he's looked good when healthy, he missed double-digit games last year. With what they invested in him, the Jags need Kirk to stay on the gridiron. Kansas City Chiefs, Justin Reed, safety. I suppose the Chiefs can't put all their money into Patrick Mahomes and that high-powered offense. Justin Reed is a great player, and he's only 27, but the positional value just isn't there to warrant him taking up 5.58% of the cap. Just saying. Las Vegas Raiders, Devontae Adams, WR. In 2023, Adams posted 900 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, far below his previous standards. Crazy how that coincided with him taking a $140 million deal to live in Las Vegas. Los Angeles Chargers, Khalil Mack, OLB. Khalil Mack has been one of the best defensive players in his generation, no doubt. But his 3-year, $63.9 million contract with the Chargers is proving costly. In 2023, Mack recorded only 7 sacks and 35 tackles, and, well, he didn't live up to that billing. Los Angeles Rams, Tyler Higbee, TE. Tyler Higbee is a serviceable tight end, but because Matthew Stafford likes him, we make the mistake of talking about him like he's one of the top guys in the game. Which, you know what, we aren't buying. At least not for his price tag. Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, WR. People in and around the league were pretty excited about the Tyreek Hill acquisition for the Dolphins, who are in need of reinforcements for Tua. And you know, hey, I get it. When you have a chance to bring in a talent like Hill, you just have to do it. But a wide receiver eating up 12.26% of your cap makes it extremely challenging to build a balanced roster. And the Dolphins are unfortunately seeing their chickens come home to roost in that regard now. Minnesota Vikings, Harrison Smith, FS. The Minnesota Vikings have to be pumped that they're at the end of the road with veteran safety Harrison Smith, who they signed to a 4-year, $64 million contract back in 2021. He has had one heck of a career, no questions there, but to allocate that much money to a safety past the age of 30 is a pretty tough look. New England Patriots, Davon Godchaux, DT. Davon Godchaux's 2-year, $20.8 million contract with the New England Patriots has turned out to be quite the head-scratcher. In 2023, Godchaux managed only 62 tackles and not a single sack. Granted, he spent a fair chunk of his time on the interior of that line, but still, Kraft had to be looking for more bang for his buck out of Godchaux. New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara, RB. In his prime, Alvin Kamara was the epitome of versatility and explosiveness. And now that narrative is all just shifted to what a heavy financial load for the New Orleans Saints his 5-year, $75 million contract is. Oh, the joys of running back contracts. In 2023, Kamara rushed for just under 700 yards and 5 touchdowns, with injuries limiting him to 12 games. What was all the more concerning is that he didn't look exactly like the same guy out there that was shredding defenses since he broke out into the league in 2017. New York Giants, Daniel Jones, QB. Daniel Jones' 4-year, $160 million contract has been the talk of the Big Apple since he signed it. It was one of those deals that everyone kinda knew that the Giants had to take a chance on, but man, has it just become a mess. The Giants bet big on Jones, but his inconsistency and turnover issues have made it really hard for fans to see him as the franchise savior. New York Jets, Hassan Reddick, OLB. The talented edge rusher has turned into a bit of a headache already. In 2023, Reddick was impressive for the Eagles, tallying 11 sacks, hence the Jets' excitement to bring him into town. But sheesh, since joining Gangrene, he has really put himself in the crosshairs of the New York media almost immediately, all by skipping OTAs and mandatory minicamp, as he is already demanding a new deal. Philadelphia Eagles, Lane Johnson, RT. Alright, let's talk about Lane Johnson. This guy has been the backbone of the Eagles O-line for years, no doubt about that. But here's the kicker. He is now 34 years old, and that 4-year, $80+ million contract, which translates to a whopping $20+ million per year, is not looking so good. Now don't get me wrong, Lane's toughness is legendary, but that kind of cap hit is a heavy anchor with the way that his performance has declined, which I imagine is a pretty tough pill to swallow when you're trying to shore up other key positions for another Super Bowl run like the Eagles are. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cam Hayward, DT. Cam Hayward has been the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line, and really that organization for some time now. He's been with the team since they took him at the end of the first round in the 2011 NFL Draft, and he is, in many ways, inextricable from the Steelers' black and yellow. Hayward is unfortunately now getting up there in age. He's going to play this season at 35, and he missed 6 games last season, marking the first time since 2016 that he's missed that many. Coming off that downtrodden year, he represents 8.77% of the cap space, behind only TJ Watt and just ahead of superstar defensive back Minkah Fitzpatrick. San Francisco 49ers, Javon Hargrave, DT. It is tough to feed everyone when you have a roster as deep and as talented as the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, at some point, there are gonna be choices that have to be made, and we are not confident that giving a $21 million per year deal to Javon Hargrave was the right one. He's 31 and plays one of the most physically demanding positions in the game at defensive tackle. This one looks like it could easily bite San Fran on the backside. Seattle Seahawks, Leonard Williams, DE. Despite his reputation as a dominant defensive end, Williams managed only 5.5 sacks in 2023, which he split between New York and Seattle. His $43+ million in guaranteed money is looking difficult to justify given his declining production, especially with Seattle looking like it is trending towards an inevitable rebuild at this point. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Vita Vea, DT. When healthy, Vita Vea is electric to watch, and he was a huge part of the Bucs Super Bowl run a couple years back. But he has really struggled to live up to the contract that he got coming off that Lombardi Trophy. Tennessee Titans, DeAndre Hopkins, WR. DeAndre Hopkins had a nice first season in Tennessee, posting 75 catches for 1,057 yards and 7 touchdowns. But still, 7+% of the cap is pretty tough for a 32-year-old receiver. Washington Commanders, Bobby Wagner, ILB. When a legend like Bobby Wagner signs with the Commanders, it's usually a good signal that he's, past his prime. Yet Washington gave the 34-year-old a deal with just under $6 million of that being guaranteed for this season, during which they'll be, in the thick of a rebuild? Yeah, something here isn't adding up. But hey, who do you think is your favorite NFL team's worst contract heading into the 2024 season? What do you think we got right? What do you think we missed? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, well, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.